My favourite part about fish keeping is having my own little slice of nature, appreciating its beauty and witnessing life flourish. It can be as simple as a new leaf sprouting from a plant, as interesting as a shrimp shedding its exoskeleton, or as exciting as a fish giving birth to countless amount of young. At times we may even feel like gods, creating our own worlds and ecosystems with the ability to control so many variables and parameters. But there's one thing that no one has complete control over, and that's life. But something does, and arguably that's exactly what gives it all its value and meaning: death. Fairly recently, I set up this indoor mini pond, and initially it was a resounding success. Everything was going well, and the fish and shrimp seemed really happy. But to top it all off, one or maybe even two of the guppies gave birth to a whole swarm of fry. I was absolutely ecstatic and overjoyed, but unfortunately, that joy began to wane over the following weeks as issues arose. It all started when one morning I entered the fish room, and unfortunately, one of the guppies had sadly passed away during the night. I immediately tested the water and all was well, so I had a good look at all the other guppies, but I couldn't see any issues. They were active as ever, just like the previous day, and they were feeding really well. I was scratching my head and thinking what might have caused it, but at this point, the guppies had only been in for about 3 weeks, so I thought maybe it just didn't quite settle in properly. All was well for the next 2 days, but on the third, I saw something extremely worrying. One of the guppies had like a white fluff around its tail fin, and another one's fins were clamped, turning its rounded fins into a sharp point. Alarm bells were ringing and I started to panic, and rightfully so, because that cotton wool fluff-like substance on the tail of one of the guppies is a telltale sign of a deadly bacterial infection called columnaris. So I quickly treated the tub with a medication designed for combating both bacterial and fungal infections. I then started to frantically research to see if there was anything else I could do, but the prognosis wasn't good. It has a high mortality rate and it can kill fish extremely quickly. I also learned that the bacteria responsible for such infections is almost always present in freshwater aquariums, but it only poses a threat when a fish's immune system is weakened due to things like stress, poor water quality, injury, parasites, or other illnesses and health conditions. This is why bacterial and fungal infections are commonly referred to as secondary infections. So while the medication should be treating the columnaris, it isn't working on the root cause of the problems. And the medication I'd used, it advised against treating any other meds within at least a week. So the only thing I could really do was add aquarium salt and hope for the best. But by the next day, 2 more guppies had passed, and bizarrely, they weren't even the ones with the visible symptoms, meaning that the root cause was probably much worse than I thought. I felt helpless and feared the worst. Next day, same again. 2 more dead, leaving me with only 1 adult guppy left, the one with the clamped fins. And what a fighter that fish was. It hung on for another 2.5 days, and surprisingly, despite swimming with a limp, it stayed really active and always swam up to greet me when I checked on it. But it just wasn't meant to be. This is the first time in 5 years of keeping fish that I've had a full group of fish wiped out. And my God, I took it really hard. Those fish were my responsibility, and I failed them. And in a weird way, I felt like I failed you lot too, because it was only weeks ago that I posted that pond build video when everything was going smoothly, but now those guppies are dead. I thought a lot about everything that I could have done differently, and maybe I could have saved them. But life's fragile, and unfortunately in this hobby, shit like this just happens, no matter how well our intentions are. But every cloud has its silver lining, and luckily in my case, that lining shines really brightly. Do you remember those fry that I mentioned? Well, I'm thrilled to say that 2 weeks later, most of them are still kicking about. They're still not quite out the woods just yet, but I'm feeling really optimistic. The fry are currently on the 2nd lot of bacteria meds, and I also treated them for parasites in between. A few of them do slightly have clamped fins, but most of them look healthy. I feel so incredibly lucky that those adult guppies were able to give birth and live on through their young. I'm sure that my tune would probably be a little bit different if that wasn't the case, but even disregarding the fry, there's still a few positive outcomes. I'd learned some things about fish illness and disease that should prove useful in the future. And if you had to go out of your way to get meds, at least now you've got them so you can treat fish quicker in the future, and you can also maybe even treat all your new fish as a preventative measure. If there's anything I'd like you to take away from the video, it's this. Dealing with death and illness is the absolute worst, both in the hobby and in our daily lives. For every fish that I've lost too soon, I've had countless amount of fish that have lived good, long and happy lives. So if you find yourself in a similar situation, that's okay. Just try to learn, adapt and improve. It can be catastrophic and it's quite easy for negative thoughts and emotions to get the better of us. But don't worry, I promise to you that will pale in comparison to the endless amount of happiness, excitement and relaxation that this amazing hobby will bring you when things are going well. Thank you for listening. I actually found it really therapeutic to make this video and try to put a positive spin on a bit of a shitty situation. If you've got anything that you'd like to share regarding this topic that may help me or anyone else save a fish's life, then drop it in the comments. Here's a little sneak peek at a few videos that are up and coming, so subscribe if you don't want to miss those. But thank you all for watching, have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you later, fish friends.